How does cheating or infidelity affect the children? This is a question that I actually got by request, and I think it's a really great question. Leslie Wells, connection coach here. I help individuals by looking at things through an attachment lens, help them to heal, repair, and thrive in their relationships. And one of the things that a lot of people come to me for is infidelity. So I'm going to do this from a science and fact perspective, but I am going to put one thing in there as far as a faith perspective. If you've followed any of my videos, then you know that I'm a Christian, and I bring that into a lot of my coaching for people that choose that or people that resonate with that. For people who don't, I stick to the science. I have both kinds of clients. So from a faith perspective, you have to understand that anytime there is a betrayal in your marriage, there is an attack from the enemy. And that anytime that we sin, there's going to be a ripple effect that affects those people closest to us. From a non-faith perspective, we still can understand that every choice, every action, every decision that we make is going to have that same ripple effect on people that we do life with, that we are close to. It is going to impact them. And so to think that the children would not be impacted if there is a negative dynamic and a devastation in the marriage is absolutely insane. The children are most certainly going to be impacted. Now, the level of impact on the children is going to depend on how much they know and how much they experience and are exposed to what's going on. And so if they're very young and they don't understand what's happening, they may not really have to deal with some of the same things as far as understanding what's happening between the parents, but they are definitely going to pick up and feel something wrong with their parents. So typically whenever there's a betrayal, the person who is injured, the person who is betrayed, is going to go through the stages of death. They're going to go through grief, denial, bargaining. They're going to have extreme amounts of anger, rage, and a lot of times depression follows. They go into a fight or flight response, a functional freeze, and they're not able to show up in the same way that they did before. And the children are most certainly going to pick up on this. And this can have a very long-lasting effect on the children that actually follows them all the way into adulthood. It's really naive to think that your children are not going to pick up on this in any sort of way, because here's the thing. Children look to the parents to know that they are safe. They look for the parents to get all of their needs met and to ensure a sense of security, safety, and stability. And so they are very attuned to what's going on with us subconsciously because they're making sure that we're providing a safe space. So if there's any dynamic between two parents that is not going well, or if there is any major devastation and one parent is completely off or depressed or anxious or struggling, they're going to pick up on that. So one of the things that a child may do if they know that this has happened, or if they're feeling that something's off with the parents, is they may get to this place where they sort of go to the parent who is the betrayed and they try to take care of that person. They feel obligated to take care of them, to make them feel better. From a subconscious brain level, the brain is always trying to seek safety, and so they can like if a parent is not showing up well, the brain's going to want to reconnect and rebuild that safety. And so this is how we can really create a child that goes into anxious attachment as they age, because they start to manage the feelings, the emotions, and they become parentified, trying to take care of the parent who was betrayed. Oftentimes they will do this at the expense of their own needs, and they will self-abandon their own needs, meaning that they will put what they need to the side to just try to get the parent who was hurt to feel better and to get them back to normal, because that's what feels safe to their brain. And when the parent is normal, then they can make sure that their needs are met and that they are taken care of. And so this parentifies the child. It creates a situation where they are feeling obligated to the parent. They're putting their own needs to the side and putting their parents' needs. They're prioritizing their parents' needs, and then they're managing the emotions of their parents. All things which are the perfect creation to create an anxious attachment as they age. Or they could go the complete opposite direction. They could actually have so much confusion around these feelings, and that can go towards both parents, like feeling betrayed that the person who used to show up for them well that is now injured is unable to do so, or just not being able to process that this person has been so hurt and has become a completely different person. There's also a lot of anger and rage that can go to the person who betrayed their parent. And so because those emotions are so big and they're difficult to deal with, a lot of times the child may actually shut down and suppress those emotions and tend to withdraw. That is the perfect storm for creating and the coping mechanisms and the behaviors of avoidant attachment. They may also shut down those feelings because they don't want to burden the parent who is injured with more pain. And so they already see that this parent is probably disassociated in a fight or flight, like not showing up the same way that they were. They can tell that something's wrong. And so they know that they've already got a lot on their plate emotionally. And so they may not want to add to their burden. And so instead they deal with everything internally and deal with it on their own. And eventually that becomes too much for a child typically. And so they will suppress and they will distract. And sometimes that distraction looks like really bad behaviors and you see that child start to act out. So if they're an older child, you may see them start to hang out with the wrong crowd, start to get involved in drug use, start to get more aggressive, get involved in things like fighting, but they're angry, they have a lot of rage, and so they will start to act out. And a lot of times that anger and that rage is directed towards the parent who was the betrayer who injured the other person. And that is because they count on their parents for their security, their stability, their safety, and that parent has threatened all of those things for them. Now the child is not sure what their family looks like going forward. They are not sure if they can count on that security and that stability. And there's a sense of betrayal that the parent chose someone else and their own immediate gratification or their own pleasure over what was best for the family and the child, and keeping the family intact and keeping the other partner happy. So you may see them start to act out and have all of these behavior issues because they really don't feel like they can come and express how they feel to either the partner who betrayed or the partner who was betrayed, because they just feel like they're already burdened and they have so much going on. And a lot of times they can read the dynamic between the two people and see that like there's just no space for them to actually come and talk about how they feel about things. And so they will often act out, distract, suppress. And there's always this fear for them that this could happen again. And if the parents do decide to stay and work things out, then there's the underlying fear that the person who betrayed may do this again, and then their family will no longer be intact. So there's a lot of fears that continue on for them. They may also become like the perfect child and try to do everything right. And this again leads into anxious attachment. And so they may really like start doing better at school or start trying to help out more around the house or try to do whatever they can do to sort of fix the person who has been betrayed and take more off of their plate. And so that's a very heavy responsibility for a child. Again, that goes into that parentification where they're feeling like they have to step up and they have to be an adult. Instead of meeting their own needs and getting their needs met by the parent, they're actually the one trying to keep everything together and meet the needs of everyone else. So everything feels harmonious and feels okay, and they don't have to worry about those fears of the family splitting up. So the parents very much will go, whenever there's an infidelity in a relationship, the parents will go into fight or flight or a freeze. They will go into a trauma response, but so do the kids as a response to what they feel happening within the marriage. Long term, this can look like a child who grows up to be an adult who has anxious attachment or avoidant attachment, or really has a fearful avoidant or disorganized attachment, meaning that they have trust issues because they saw that dynamic within their parents' relationship, and so they go into future relationships not being able to trust people of the opposite sex or people that they're in a relationship with, but they go into relationship not being able to trust their partner because what they have seen through their parents. And if they saw it through their parents who they idolize and think, are good and wonderful, then they're going to project that onto other people. So a lot of times they do not trust as they grow up, as they go older, and they have that betrayal wound of the fearful avoidant that they carry deep within them. And so they will go into relationships always waiting for the other shoe to drop, always expecting to be betrayed and sort of not trusting anyone and feeling like love and people are not safe and trustworthy. So there you have it. There are long-term consequences of betrayal that affect the children. And so it really is crucial that if you have been through this, that you find someone, a coach, a therapist, someone who can help you repair this and help you minimize the effects, A, on your partner, B, on your marriage, and also on your children.